The bunker beneath Berlin was never meant to be permanent. It was designed to survive air raids, not collapse. Concrete and steel meant to buy time, not witness the end of an ideology. By April 1945, it had become a sealed world where time narrowed and belief suffocated. Above ground, Berlin was already finished. Entire neighborhoods had been reduced to rubble. Streets no longer connected, places only ruins. The city did not fall in a single moment. It folded inward, block by block, until nothing recognizable remained. Below it all sat Adolf Hitler, underground, listening as the world he built ended without him. The bunker shook constantly, not from bombs, but from Soviet artillery, each impact closer than the last. Maps were updated repeatedly. Red pins advanced. Blue pins vanished. Entire armies disappeared between briefings. Hitler stared at the maps in silence. When he spoke of divisions that no longer existed, issuing orders to units already destroyed. No one corrected him. Correcting him would require admitting the truth. The war was over. Germany had no air force left. No fuel. No reserves. Entire units were made of children and old men given rifles and impossible instructions. Cities were ash. Factories were silent. The outcome was no longer in doubt, but Hitler refused the word defeat. Not because he believed victory was still possible, but because accepting defeat meant accepting reality. And reality was the one thing his worldview could not survive. Inside the bunker, time lost structure. There were no windows, no daylight, no sense of morning or night. Only clocks ticking reminders that history was still moving forward, whether anyone accepted it or not. Hitler slept irregularly. His hands shook constantly. His voice weakened. Doctors adjusted medications, daily stimulants, to keep him alert, sedatives, to quiet his agitation. Between them came moments of clarity. Brief moments when he understood how completely everything had failed. They never lasted. They were replaced by blame. The generals had betrayed him. The soldiers lacked will. The people had failed to rise. Failure was everywhere except in himself. April 20th, 1945. His birthday. There were no crowds, no speeches, no celebration. Only a few officials standing awkwardly in narrow corridors. Someone brought a cake. Hitler barely touched it. That day, he left the bunker briefly. For the last time. Outside, he greeted a group of child soldiers wearing uniforms too large for their bodies. They saluted him. He nodded. He did not meet their eyes. Then he returned underground. He would never see the sky again. As Soviet forces closed in street by street, strategy disappeared. There were no longer decisions to make, only outcomes to delay. What remained was obsession with legacy. Hitler dictated his final thoughts, convinced history would one day understand him. That time would separate intention from consequence. That future generations would see him differently. He believed history was a courtroom. It is not. History does not argue. It records. By the end of April, there was nothing left to postpone. Berlin would fall within days. Hitler made a decision. Not dramatic. Not emotional. Controlled. He would not be captured. Not because he feared death, but because capture meant surrendering control, and control was the last illusion he still possessed. In one of the most surreal moments of the war, he married Eva Braun. There was no celebration, no joy, no audience, just paperwork signed in a concrete room. She had waited years for this moment. She would experience it for hours. It was not romance. It was ritual, an attempt to impose order on collapse. April 30th, 1945. The bunker was silent. Orders had stopped. Conversations ended quickly. Everyone understood what was coming. Hitler said goodbye. Short sentences. No speeches. No apologies. He entered a private room. The door closed. A gunshot followed. The body was burned quickly and carefully. Even in death control mattered. Days later, Berlin fell. Soon after, The war in Europe ended. The regime collapsed not with glory, but with rubble and silence. Hitler believed he was destiny that history required him. Instead, history closed the book quietly. No final battle, no redemption, no justification. Just a man underground as everything he built collapsed above him. The ideology did not end with an explosion. It ended because it failed reality. Berlin rebuilt itself. The bunker was buried. Life continued. What remains is not a legend. It is a warning, because the most dangerous people in history are not monsters. They are humans who believe they are inevitable, and inevitability always collapses.